What's up, everybody? I'm glad you guys are all here. If this is your first time here, thank you. But today, we're going to be doing something really cool on the Rabbit. Right now, I am currently working on welding and grinding and painting a couple of holes that I have inside of the car. But that's not the big thing for today. The big thing is that panel right over there. For that panel, we have to cut it out, cut a new one, and then we'll be able to weld the new one in. We'll have a fully put together interior, which I'm really excited about. Also, mind the crazy hair. I'm gonna get a haircut this weekend. But yeah, let me show you guys kind of what I've been doing, how I do it, and then we'll get into it. The most important part when it comes to any job like this is your preparation. You want to get down to bare metal almost everywhere that you can. When we're at bare metal, we can get good welds that'll hold and will have lasting impact. And then when we're done, we spray paint over it so that it doesn't rust. So what did I do for preparation? First things first, I cleaned it off like I always do. I cleaned it with just some Dawn dish soap and water. And then I used my drill. I used a bunch of different attachments. This one as well as this one. This one really got a lot of the paint and brought it down to bare metal pretty easily. So doing that for about 20 minutes before I started welding made it so that it'll be really easy to when I'm actually welding. For welding, what I did is I have my ground clamp on the car right here, have a nice stable connection so I can get nice easy welds. As well as for the welder, I have it all stretched out so that this wire doesn't get all caught up. And then what we do is we grind it down until we get it to where we want so that we have even and not these kind of pokings that you can see right here. So what I do is weld and then grind, weld, grind. It's a big process. There's a saying that goes, a grinder and paint make you the welder you ain't. And that's very true. But with that, let me show you guys what I've been doing, and then we'll get into the other side, which is going to be the big challenge for today. When welding or grinding, make sure you guys have some nice hand protection, ear protection, and eye protection. This one is the most important because you never want to take out an eye, whether a disc breaks or something like that. You just want to keep your eyes protected at all times. What's up, everybody? It is a new day, so let's set up the welder and get ready to weld. Alright, we are now all ready to weld. After a lot of welding and grinding, we have this area a lot better. We still have a couple big holes that we gotta fill in. We're gonna keep doing that. Alright, after a long time of welding and grinding, this is what we have. We have this surface that is all one piece now. Now it's on to the next step, which I'll show you guys right now. The next step is going to be some of this glazing and spot putty. Originally, I thought of doing this just while the holes were still there, but I don't think that would have been held, and it would have been a very good idea. But now we have everything covered up. There are little cracks in the welds, though, because I couldn't get them all perfect. So we'll put a nice layer of this, fill in everything, let it dry, and we'll be able to paint. But before we do that, we have to clean up. As you guys can see, there's a bunch of stuff right here. Old metal and new metal as well from the welds that we have to get off, take away, and then we can put our putty, weight, and paint. Alright, now we have a nice clean surface that we can lay our putty down, spread it out, let it dry, and we'll be done and ready to paint. Alright, now after working the putty in for a little while, we have a nice even coat. We'll wait for about 30 minutes, sand it down with some 400 grit sandpaper, and then if we need another one, we'll throw it on. If not, we can paint. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes, and now it's nice and dry. We have a nice flat surface. Now we can sand it and then paint. And now we have our area nice and sanded, nice and smooth. We can clean up and then we can paint. Paint. Now we have a base layer. We can let this dry, sand it down just a little, and then we'll have a nice even coat all the way through. Alright, we have this area done and painted. Might need to go over it again, sand and stuff, but that's not for right now. What I'm excited to do is this area over here. Then we're going to cut the new panel into the shape this needs to be, and then we'll be able to weld it in and have a fully restored inside frame. Alright, so my plan to do this is to use this. It's basically just an air cutter, and it has a rotary attachment right here so we can cut through. I have a bunch of these so I can use these and not be worried about kind of running out of them. I was going to use the grinder, but I really only have one disc that's a cutting wheel for that one, so I'm going to save that for later, and we'll use that to fix up our welds. But yeah, let's get this over to the car, cut it out, make a new one, and then we'll get it in there. Alright, we have our tool, we have our hose, so now we can start cutting. As you guys can see, we have a lot of this panel cut out, but one thing we have to do is kind of push this area down because this is pushed up a little. So I'm going to get a hammer, push it down a little so that it'll be a flat surface with the rest of it, and then we can finish cutting it out, and then we'll be good to make a new panel and weld it in here. Alright, we are almost done. We have about 90% of this panel cut out. We have up until right there. We got to connect that corner right there. Whole thing will fall out and we'll be able to move on. Here is the old panel. Alright. We have both of our panels side by side. My plan, put this one on top, trace out a new one, a little bigger than it has to be, put it in the car, fit it, see where we need to trim, and then we can weld it in, paint over all of it, and then we'll have it good as new. Alright, we now have the whole thing marked out. Time to cut it and see if we can fit it. And now we have a fully cut out panel. Boom. Sweet. This panel fits pretty well, so now I'm going to clean up the area around it and then we can weld it. Sweet, we have area ready now. We have it all grinded and it's ready to be welded on. Now we gotta get the welder out here and start tacking it in place and then getting some nice beads down. And alright, we are about halfway done, I'd say, and I think it looks pretty good. And it's also pretty sturdy. I can come up here, stand on it and all, doesn't move at all. I think we're doing pretty good. We gotta keep going all the way around, and then we'll grind, and we'll go around again, and then we can paint. I have got a lot of progress done. Not any grinding, but a bunch of welding. Over here we got some spot welds just to hold it on. Over here we have this corner welded. I have a couple of places. I'm gonna figure out some stuff to do over here. For today, that's gonna be it, because I wanna go to the gym, and then tomorrow we'll pick up where we left off. We'll have more time, and we can finish this project, make it look really nice on the inside, make it look like this never even happened and there wasn't even a rusted out floor. So, it's a new day. I want to finish today. Let's get to work. Alright, so the game plan is to get welds all the way around, try and get a weld all the way around, grind it, get another bead all the way around, see where we need to fill patches, and then grind it again, and then we'll be done, and then we can paint. Alright, I made a little cutout to put in between over here because there is a bit of a gap, and I think this will help a lot. So I'm going to weld it, and then we'll tack all the way across, lay some beads down, and then we should be done with over there. And then back here we got to figure it out. And we'll be done with the first patch, grind them down, make sure there's no more big spots, put a little bond out, and then we'll be good. Alright, welds all along this side done. Down here, pretty much done. Over here, we gotta do that area right there. And then the back over there. And grind it, and weld it, and grind it again, and then paint. You know, this is taking longer than I thought it would, but doing this kind of stuff and doing it the right way, I think is the best thing to do. Because you don't want this stuff falling apart. Kinda whenever you are driving or anything like that, you know. No Fast and Furious movie where we kick out the floor panels, that wouldn't be great. But yeah, do everything right the first time. You don't got to go back and redo it, even though it takes a little longer. Alright, I've got these areas all done. There are definitely still some spots that need work, but I feel like grinding it down right now is going to be a good idea. We can go over where we need to, and then we can grind down again, and it'll make the process easier, and then we can paint it. Alright, nice and all down. We got this grinded all the way down, all the way across, nice and smooth. And we really don't need another layer of welds. We can use our Bondo to fill in the little cracks. But before we do that, lots of sanding is required so that everything is nice and smooth and it'll stick really well. So let's do a lot of sanding. Alright, everything is now cleaned and prepped so we can apply our Bondo glazing putty, get a nice even seal all the way around, and then let it dry and paint, and we'll be done with this floor pan. I decent amount of Bondo later, and we have nice even coverage. It's definitely going to need to be sanded a lot and then maybe some more put over, but we have a good initial layer, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. I've been letting the Bondo dry. Let's go see what it looks like. She's nice and hardened, and it feels pretty smooth, at least across here, over here too. Now we gotta sand it down, so let's do that. Now we're all sanded and we're ready to vacuum all this extra out of here. Before that though, I do see a couple spots like over here I'd like to touch up. So I'm gonna do that and we'll wait. Then we'll sand again and then we can finally paint. First layer is now on and it looks pretty freaking good. I might have to go around and fix the seam on the panel, but that's for a different time. We're also gonna throw carpet back in here. That's the plan for now, so it'll cover it up. But I think it looks pretty good. Let's wait about 10 minutes, do another coat in, and then we'll be good. Time for coat number 2. And we're all done. Now all the paint just has to dry, but besides that, we're done. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you guys, any of you guys that are staying this long, I really do appreciate it, because that's the real way that these things like happen, you know. Let me say hi to the doggies. Hi, Zicky. Google and guess. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Without whoever's watching to the end of the video, it doesn't really make sense for me to do this, but thank you guys so much. Our goal is 20K on YouTube by the end of the year. It's a lot, I know, but I think we can do it. Let me know what you guys want to see next on the Rabbit, or what you want to see next on the GLI. Let me know. But thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Drive safe.